I'm Lena Philemon, and this is part 3 of my case study. As I did with part 2, I want to give a brief review of my client. He is 8 years old, diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder, and uses LAMP on an AAC device. During this past school year, he was attending school 3 days a week, and techs were going in school with him for the full day, and then he was coming to our center 1 day a week. With it now being summer break, he's coming to our center 4 days a week. Here is a quick summary from part 2 of this case study. First, his tantrums are defined as crying with or without tears and must be accompanied with one of the following: throwing his body onto the ground, flailing his body or head, kicking his legs, screaming, headbanging, and or eloping. And they must also occur for longer than 5 seconds to count and must stop for 5 seconds or more to count as a separate instance. An example would be crying with tears while throwing his body onto the floor and kicking his legs for 1 minute. A non-example would be crying with tears for 10 seconds. He regularly engages in a tantrum when he is not immediately given access to a tangible, or we are having him follow through with an instruction or a work task. When the client begins to engage in a tantrum to escape a task, we have him follow through with the task. This is using negative reinforcement extinction, also referred to as escape extinction. When the client begins to engage in a tantrum to obtain a tangible, we do not allow him access to the tangible. This is using positive reinforcement extinction. Now, not only do we want to place tantrums on extinction to reduce the behavior, but we also want to teach a functional, appropriate replacement behavior, this being communication. If we observe any of his precursor behaviors, such as whining, closing his eyes, etc., we immediately prompt him to use his talker to tell us if he needs a break, if he needs squeezes, if he needs help, etc. The intervention goals are to 1. Reduce the occurrence of tantrums. This is being measured by collecting data on the frequency of tantrums per session. And 2, teach an appropriate replacement behavior of communication. This is being measured by collecting data on his total mands as well as each unique mand per session. Now, I'll discuss how his SPCE went about training staff. She followed the behavior skills training method that included 1. A verbal explanation, 2. A written description, 3. Model, 4. Practice, and 5. Feedback. So she first gave each staff member a verbal explanation of the intervention package. She then provided a written procedure that included information on materials needed, preferred reinforcers, determined functions of behavior, an operational definition of the target behavior, antecedent interventions, replacement behaviors, teaching procedures, reinforcement procedures, consequence procedures, and how to collect the data. This information is common for our treatment packages, and having it written out allows for staff to review it before each session and during it. Not only is this written explanation printed out and with the client's materials, but it is also pinned in a channel specifically for the client, making it readily accessible throughout the session. Next, she modeled the intervention package with the client, and then staff were able to practice implementing the intervention while she supervised them. And finally, she provided feedback on any corrections to be made and or correct implementation. We are currently implementing this intervention package, and she still provides frequent feedback. To ensure validity, we have an operational definition of our targeted behavior, which is tantrums, that is observable and measurable. Frequent supervision and feedback also help to prevent treatment drift, which could affect both validity and treatment integrity. A fidelity checklist has not yet been made, but this is something that could be implemented to further ensure treatment integrity. I would require this checklist to be filled out each session, as some technicians only work with this client once a week. And I would have both staff and the BCBA fill this out so that they're both being refreshed on each step. And that is the end of part 3 of my case study. Thanks.